For a few years in the 1970s, the Mr. Asia Syndicate made millions.
Heroin creates its own market. It acts like a form of plague.
Until jealousy, betrayal and murder brought it all crashing down.
Clark would have threatened him. Go and kill him. If you don't, I'm going to kill you and your wife and your son.
This is Mr. Asia, A Forgotten History. All episodes now available on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Game in Pukekohe last night, the Chiefs surviving a second half fight back from Moana Pasifika to prevail 50-35.
Going to start again here, the Chiefs who go down the right hand. Blind intercepted by the Moana, and it's Havili down the left wing flank. Has he got the lead? It's away, and they score again, and maybe this one ain't over.
Yeah, well, it was a funny old game, as I say. The table toppers conceding 28 unanswered points in the second half after leading 43-7 at half-time. Chiefs assistant coach David Hill is with us. Would you like to talk about the first half or the second half first?
Well, I'm the defence coach, so I'd prefer not to talk about the second half. It was definitely a game of two halves. They came off the bye and joked that they were still on the bye, and we're going into the bye, and we thought we went to the bye at half time. So it was a weird one, but it was some good stuff for both sides on the attacking side of the ball. Us in the first half and them in the second half. So good spectacle, but not ideal for us to lapse like that in that second half.
Were there any real nervous moments when they got within 8 points near the end?
I think time was always on our side. I think because we'd built up such a big lead in that first half, and felt like when we needed to turn the dial up, we could. So it was a weird one. Like it's to have such a big lead and then have that chip away so easily. That was concerning, but not nervous mode. More frustration and a little bit of a little bit of disappointment in how that panned out, but. If they'd scored again, then we would have been twitchy bum time, but managed to come away with it. So not a horrendous result heading into the bye. So it was what it was.
What did you see through your defence coach eyes in that second half?
Yeah, got on the wrong side of the ref pretty quickly early in that second half, and again the referees are doing a great job around the flow of the game and the speed of the game, and one of the things I think most of the D coaches and the coaches in general are finding, once momentum swings and you're on the wrong side of it, it's actually really, really tough to get stops and get back in the game. So we managed to get a couple of good stops on a goal line and get some turnovers, and then ended up back there again. So the territory is a big one, and when momentum's going in favour of the other team, it is tough to stop. So most of the coaches around there are trying to figure out some strategies and some legal ways around stopping momentum. So that was the disappointing thing, is we did it a couple of times and didn't do it enough.
Is there also a part of it that you're ahead by so much at half time? What was it, 43-7 at half time? That it's hard to put your foot on the throat when you're so far ahead after the first 40?
Yes. You'd prefer not to use that as an excuse, but it was at the back of our mind a little bit. We made earlier changes, and by playing so well in the first half, it gave us a little bit of room to move in terms of our subs and our players come off the bench. But that would be it's a poor excuse, but there's a small element of it. But we'd highlighted that at half time that was the biggest threat for us, was us just taking the foot off the throat a little bit and being a little bit not complacent, but not as urgent as we liked. And something that we can we'll head off to the bye and have a good week, but have to highlight that next week before we sort of prepare to play the Reds at home.
Moana Pasifika have conceded the most points this year, but they've also scored more points than anyone else, except for you guys. Have they become a trickier opponent, Moana?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's, to be fair, it's one of those, we previewed that they're scoring 5 to 6 tries a game, and their attack and their like Havili, Pellegrini. Both the wingers, even though Alamala wasn't playing, like Tamofilau, their set piece was going better, and if Artie had played, then that's a bit of emotional stuff as well. So their attack is improving, and again, like I said with the D stuff, is when you're under the pump and the other opposition's got momentum, it's hard to stop. But they're a hard team to stop once they get going. So they're definitely improved and well coached and going good. So we'll get them again later in the year and be well prepared for that one.
Well, you're going good too. Into the bye, well clear at the top, 5 wins and a loss. How satisfied are you in general terms as a coaching group with the first 6 rounds?
Yeah, we had a good coaches meeting sort of towards the end of last week. Probably had to play the Blues twice, the Crusaders once, the Brumbies once, and the Drua in Fiji. So not the easiest draw by any stretch. Like a 5-1 going into the bye, we would have taken that absolutely at the start of the season. So really, really content around lots of stuff, right? We've changed a few things about how we've played and also had to deal with some tough games. So feel that set us up pretty well. So we're content, but it's a long old comp, and the weather will change and daylight saving will stop, and all of a sudden things will be a little bit different. So aware that we'll have to adapt and adjust as we go forward, but content.
You've also, David, used 35 players in 6 matches this season. In the entirety of last season, you only used 39. So is your depth being tested a wee bit here?
A little bit of that's actually by design. We have had, just like everyone else, we've had our injuries and we've lost players along the way. We're a bit short on the outside backs, and still got a Wallace Atiti and a Josh Lord and a Nono Saturo to come back. So, I think it's probably a reality of the comp that you'll probably need to use between 35 and 40 players, and sort of have to have that in the back of your mind accordingly. When we don't make we make a conscious effort to try and give everyone a crack early on, whether it's in pre-season or in the game. So James Thompson made his debut yesterday. It was a big one for him. County's captain and grew up wanting to represent the Chiefs, so he deserved that. And I think the depth is something you have to be conscious of, but it's probably a little bit easier if you get a couple of early wins. It makes those changes sort of easier to deal with. So building the depth is important, and you're going to need it later on. Like you said, if it's 39 to 40 players in a year, that's quite a few when you think you can put 23 out on the day. So some challenges for everyone there. And
everyone's ears pricked up when you said Wallace Atiti. Any updated time frame on his possible return?
It's one of those ones we decide not to talk about it and don't get too excited that if the physio or the doc or someone says, he might be back by this round, you start counting down the days, which is unfair on Wallace and unfair probably on our medical people. So there's no I don't actually have an update or a date that I know of that I could say, but he's around the place, he's running, he's looking good, he's keen, he's such a great, amazing personality that it's just nice to see him smiling and in the gym working hard. So that'll be a good little boost for us as well. Like he had a breakthrough year and didn't play too badly for a few tests, so it'd be nice to have him back and give us a bit of a boost on both sides of the ball.
Right, so you do expect him back at some stage this Super Rugby season?
That's the plan. I think it was always that he might get back towards the end of the rounds and potentially be available for the finals. That was the original plan, and I'm not sure where it's at the moment. But he's smiley, he's cheeky, he's looking good.
Good update. Excellent, David. All right, well, enjoy the bye. You give you guys a few days off. They go to far-flung parts of the country, do they, and relax a little bit before you get them back in ahead of your next game?
Yeah, well, because we were supposed to play this game in Tonga, so
yes.
I think a few travel plans were starting from Tonga. That had to get adjusted, so I think probably a bit more local than it was originally intended. I think there was a few people who would have probably just stayed in Tonga or gone to another island, but they'll do what they need to do, and they've earned it. So it's like you said, 5-1 heading into it. They can refresh, and I think I got a message about an hour ago from the S&C just giving them their program while they're away. So I'm sure they're loving to see that.
I bet they are. Well done on a good first 6 games, David. You're top of the table. Enjoy the bye, mate. Thanks for chatting. Always enjoy catching up.
Awesome. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
No, thank you, David. David Hill, assistant coach of the Chiefs.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.